sorry, hang on.
Now.
Go ahead.
Question of whether he should be in line for the throne.
Okay, well tell me, okay.
Because of the divine right.
Okay, so the prince had a son with this air hostess.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
The question became, should he be in line because he is not a legitimate heir, because he was not married to the mother?
So the prince was not married. The prince fathered a child out of wedlock, and now the question is the actual baby going to be in line for the throne?
According to Monaco,
1, 2, 3, 4.
he will not be in line because it is not from a legitimate marriage.
1, 2, 3, 4. According to Monaco's constitution, they only will allow legitimate children to be in line to take the throne. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Anything else you want to tell me about this?
The Prince of Monaco is paying support for the child, but the mother is bringing him up without the father.
1, 2, 3, 4. The prince does not have any active role in the life of the child. Having said this, he is financially compensating. And there was a disagreement about this because, literally speaking, this is the firstborn. You would think that this would be entitled to the throne, but different countries have in their...
His second-born child.
A second-born child.
That's his second-born child. He had a teenage girl who was older than the son.
But we're not, girls are irrelevant in the context of this. And you can zoom in on me when I say that.
In Monaco, they then changed the thing because now his sisters are in line for the throne.
I was going to say, I believe the article talked about his sister's son being the one if he doesn't have one. And part of the reason why there was a concern about this, why was there a concern? Irrelevant to the actual child, but why were they concerned about needing a male heir?
Because I thought he was gay.
No.
-4. -4. Because the prince was actually getting old and he was still unmarried, and there was a sense that his time might be running out. Go ahead, touch the box. You did give me the last correct answer. Please make sure you allow other people in your group to answer, though, because I'm going to begin to get frustrated. Pick me a category. Gotta go.
Articles for 3.
Articles for 3. List all you can. Click it. Quotas in the legislature. First hand. Actually, you guys have it. Quotas or, and you'll have it next. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
So in India, they wanted to pass this new...
Zoom in. Yeah, go ahead.
...that forced half of the people in the legislative branch to be women.
It was the elderly group. Now in the positive. 1, 2, 3. So understand on this. India was basically talking about in the idea that women have not been represented. Do you remember, anybody in this group, do you remember what percentage of women were actually in the legislature? Yeah, go ahead.
14%?
Was it 14?
Wait, what they were asking for, or what was already represented?
What's actually in there? Was it 14? 5, 4. Anybody can look. 3, 2, 1. -3. The elderly group playing old today. Go ahead.
8.3%.
Yeah, it was about 8% is what it was. 1, 2, 3, in fact, on this. Did they get the 50% that they were asking for? What number was actually acted upon, although it hasn't been enacted yet? 5, 4.
It was like 30%.
I'm sorry?
He said no, it was not.
What did he say?
30.
-3.
I don't think that's what he said.
It was actually 1/3 is what had been acted upon, not 30%. I'm sorry. Show firsthand I see. We had an article dealing with the United States Senate. How did they want to readjust the composition of the Senate? Shame.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is it me?
Yes.
Okay. They wanted to change. They had different criteria. One of it was age.
Age. Age. Go ahead. 1, 2, 3.
Based on age groups, they wanted 18 to 24 to have 13 seats. 25 to 44 to have 36 seats. 45 to 65 to have 35 seats. 65.
You can use whatever you want.
16.
I didn't know that.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, when you think about this, they want a different age representation, and their argument is that if the Senate is basically pale, male, and stale, the old, wealthy white man's club, if you got different ages in there, then in fact, guess what? You would have laws that actually represented everybody. Age was one. Tell me more.
Money was another question.
Money. Go ahead, explain. 1, 2, 3.
One senator
5.
To represent millionaires.
Okay, 4.
5 senators to represent those making
3.
$80,000 to $100,000.
I don't know about
Four
this. I know they're
senators.
using her notes, so it's almost like
You can use whatever you want.
He's interrupting.
2.
4 senators to represent $80,000 to $100,000.
I don't need all of this detail on it, but basically the idea was that they wanted to make sure that about more of the middle class was going to be represented because the Senate is known as the Millionaires Club. And the idea was that if you have different groups, different incomes represented, then in fact this will ultimately lead to better policies. What was the other factor?
Well, the whole thing was that they were talking about the great compromise, that the Senate was supposed to be, the House and Senate were both created to make sure that the big states didn't trample the little states.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be
That's a good point.
a way of evening things out, because
Yes.
at the moment we have half the nation in 10 of the states, but in terms of how many seats they hold far fewer seats, and half live in 40 states and have way more senators.
Yeah, basically what they're saying, and you'll see this again in another article, is originally it was just like you said, the big states were not supposed to trample the small ones, but now the population difference has gotten to the point where the small states far outnumber the bigger ones. And when you put this into context, it's not big states versus little states anymore, so why do we still have the Senate based on that? That's basically one of the other arguments. What's the other piece to this? Age was 1. Economics was 1. Go ahead, Elizabeth. 5.
Wasn't it like whether people like LGBT should get seats in the Senate as well? If
That was in the article?
Yeah, if
-3. It was actually talking about race and gender, and it was talking about dividing it up because I think there was a specific number in there that basically had said that if you created the Senate based on the percentage of women in the population, you would have more in one Senate than you had in the entire history of the United States who had served in the United States Senate. And the argument was, let's make it more reflective about population, meaning gender and race. Now, Elizabeth, your point, I think, and we did delve into this, but the article didn't talk about it. We focused on white and black, we focused on Asian, we focused on Hispanic, these kinds of groups. But how far do you ultimately need to break it down? And I think that's the point that you were trying to make on this. AJ, join a group so I can give you bonus points if you answer a question.
Oh, I'm with this group.
Okay, if you get a little bit closer to them because, listen, if you're negative, I'm taking points off the exam. So somebody better damn well start answering some questions over here. Pick me a category.
can we hit that word?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. Just calling you out, Johnny.
Sorry about that.
Judiciary for 2 points.
Judiciary for 2. Judicial review, first hand I see. Oh boy. Go ahead.
Judicial review is the power the Supreme Court has to overlook any law that comes
To overlook.
Well, no, not to overlook.
-2, first hand I see.
I got the wrong one.
Yeah, go ahead. Caduce called him out. Your group. What is judicial review? 5, 4, 3. Judicial review, we just went over it yesterday. 2.
We just talked about it.
To review things like
You guys are already out. Go ahead, Ari.
It's power the Supreme Court has to override a law.
Override, overrule, yeah, not overlook. Click it. Judicial review, the ability of the courts to strike down or declare null or void laws passed by the legislature or unconstitutional acts by the executive. Go, pick me a category, vulgar. Gotta go.
1 point articles.
1 point articles, big spenders. List all you can, click it. Quangos, first hand I see. Go ahead.
Quangos were special interest. There are specific groups in England which are created to overlook.
What does Quango mean? 5.
Autonomous, non-governmental organization.
Quasi-autonomous, non-governmental organizations. That's a mouthful. They are specifically in England. And what does a Quango do?
If they got the answer last time, they should answer first.
No, whoever puts their hands up, no?
No,
Was it a list all you can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the way we've been doing it, it's...
It is a list all you can. Okay, you guys have it.
Quasi-autonomous.
Okay, tell me more.
England.
Tell me more.
Are there non-interest group? Are there interest groups that are not governmental positions that they actually give them the power to decide on?
Who gives them the power?
The parliament gives them
The
the power.
parliament actually creates groups. That is right, one. And the parliament will create these groups designed to deal with specific policy areas.
In fact,
Why is it? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in fact, even the prime minister was asked why they do quangos, and he said, "Well, make a quango about it." Go ahead and give me some more points for that, because they talk reckless.
Make a quango about it to do what?
To get rid of the quangos.
Yeah, quangos basically are designed to deal with a specific point. And when they're dealing with a specific point, once they solve it, they just continue to actually orbit like dead satellites. They're using resources, they're getting paid. Why is it that the parliament doesn't just solve these issues on their own?
Because they're usually not
Anybody in the group?
popular.
So what does the quango do if it's not a popular issue?
They take the blame for it, and since they're not a party that's elected, it doesn't matter.
Quangos are basically there to take the blame or take the heat off of the parliament. Yeah, that's exactly. Could you give me some examples of things that quangos regulate? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're out. Come on, elderly group. Anything that quangos regulate. Henry's got his computer. I'm sure he can pull the articles right off of the website. If he doesn't, it's going to be minus points. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Education,
Education. What specifically about education?
student loans.
Who actually gets assistance to go to university? Go ahead, tell me more.
What meds you can get with national
I'm sorry,
healthcare?
what?
What meds you can get with national health?
What meds you can get from national health care? Anything else?
Agriculture, but I'm not.
Agricultural.
Agricultural prices. Yes, click it, Gianni. Pick me a category. Gotta go. Okay, I was saying plus 14, plus 11, plus 8. It's getting closer to like plus 20, plus 7, and minus 3.
Article 5. Article 5.
Articles for 5. Click it. Advice and consent of the Senate. You guys have it first. First hand I see has it next. Okay, you'll have it next.
With the Democratic, when we had Bill Clinton,
What does advice and consent mean? What does it do with?
Advice and consent is when there's a president of one party and he's dealing with the Congress, the House of Representatives of a different party. It's
Has to do with the House of Representatives.
and Congress. And
Minus 5.
What?
Go ahead, Nick. Your group's got it.
Oh, that's like, it's when the president wants to, like when the president wants to pass a bill or like make a rule or something.
When the president wants to pass a bill, go ahead.
Like I remember the example we used in class, I think it was Bush, like he wanted to do something and like
He did want to do something, but what did he want to do? Anybody in the group can say something. 5, 4, 3. Go ahead, Maria.
It's when the president asks for advice to the Senate,
4.
and then they suggest something, and then the president can decide to go with,
With
that
what?
or
With
not.
what? With what? 4, 3.
That's the Lord.
What's
Like
that?
how you was talking about if the Senate and the House has like a majority,
Yeah.
the president is like a Democrat and the Senate and the House is a Republican.
Yeah, but I need to know what policy it is, because that's the whole point behind this question. 2. It was an article.
This is the presidential directive 51 or something.
No, minus 5.
Our hands are up. We have a
Go
guy.
ahead.
Presidential nominations for executive and judicial posts.
Yes! Nominations! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nominations. Hang on. So it's dealing with, specifically the article was dealing with the appointment of justices. And it was dealing only with the Senate because the House doesn't have anything to do with the judicial nominations. So how does the article, what does it say about this?
Well,
5.
they only take effect when they're confirmed by the Senate.
Yeah, I got that. 4.
And
3. Zoom in on Ari. I saw what he just did. Go ahead, Caduce.
When he wanted to pass the bill for the torture and he wrote a veto.
Minus 5.
What? Wrong article.
Advice and consent. Advice and consent of the Senate. The debate was what actually is the role of the Senate in judicial nominations. When Bill Clinton was in office, and y'all were talking about this kind of, Bill Clinton was a Democrat dealing with the Republican Senate. He actually went to the Republicans first, got some input from them, and then ultimately took the nomination back. When George W. was in office, he had a Republican Senate. He just nominated his people and then sent it over without speaking to the Republicans. Understand on this. Firsthand I see. Clinton did it one way. Bush did it the other way. According to George Washington, who's right? Go ahead, Kendra. -5! -5! Go ahead! Bush. What did George Washington, what happened to him when he tried to do what Bill Clinton did? 5.
They kept arguing, they weren't coming to a decision, so finally he stepped in and made the decision for him.
George Washington, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, did go to the Senate. He did attempt to get some feedback, and ultimately he got angry and stormed out and never returned because of all of the bickering that was going on. Touch the house. Pick me a category vulgar. Oh, elderly. You're playing into the stereotype.
Who said that?
No, it's because it was yellow, but we picked that already.
Yeah, we're good. Go ahead.
Constitution for 3 points.
Constitution for 3. Go. List all you can. Click it. Death of a president. Firsthand I see has got it next. You'll have it next. 5, 4,
Pertaining to what?
3,
When the president is dead,
2.
The vice president takes office.
-3.
No. Secretary of State.
No.
-3. Go ahead. What's death of a president?
No.
It's a movie. Go ahead. Okay, I see positive points coming. Explain it.
It was just a fictional movie that President Bush got assassinated.
Death of a President is actually a fictional movie where President Bush was assassinated. -8. Tell me more. Go ahead. Anybody in the group? There's points to be had here.
It was only like it's not a real movie, but you can see it on YouTube. It was like made over in Europe somewhere.
It was made in England.
And they used like real pictures and like photos of him.
They actually do use real footage of President Bush in this. This is a very realistic looking movie. What was their stated purpose for creating a movie where the President of the United States gets assassinated? 5, 4, 3. What's that?
Poster.
2-1.
Poster? A poster to see Americans' reactions? -3! Why did they make the movie? They actually made it specifically so that you would get a sense of what the reaction would be. Kind of close if the president was killed in the country and around the world. Maybe I won't take off 3 for that. Okay, with this in mind, the criticism of it was that this was a violation of national security and they didn't feel good. You might actually be giving somebody the idea to do this. You want to say something? And yeah, it was a problem. 1, 2, 3, because Bush was still in office. It wasn't a fictional president like other movies had been, and it wasn't a movie after a president had already been killed, but it was a movie while the guy was still in office. It was set a year in the future when it had actually been released. Anything else? 4, 3, go ahead, Elizabeth.
It was released straight to video, but internationally it was a film festival award winner.
It was an international film festival. Evidently, around the world, they liked the fact that W was killed.
Which film festival? Just giving away points now.
4, 3.
We discussed whether in the article was the conflict between free speech versus going too far.
Yeah, that is true. We did discuss that. Anything else? 2, 1. Okay, pick me a category. Click it, Johnny.
Does thing restart at 15?
What's that?
Restarts at 15?
No, you need to restart it.